Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Renegade Immortal based on novel. So let's start. Just at this moment, the grey-robed all-seer suddenly opened his eyes. This was the first time he opened his eyes. He had a pair of grey eyes. He looked at Wang Lin, but didn't say a word. However, when this gaze fell on him, Wang Lin felt his origin soul shake, and his ears filled with roaring thunder. Don't bother me. Wang Lin's origin soul shook violently, and he lost awareness of his surroundings. When he regained his senses, the grey-robed all-seer had disappeared without a trace. Strange. Wang Lin's expression darkened and he silently pondered for a bit. Then he spread out his divine sense and began to search again. He gave up on checking all the remaining all-seers for their spells and began searching for this strange, grey-robed all-seer. Time slowly passed. Wang Lin searched with all his might, and was able to meet the grey-robed all-seer once again. Every time he tried, none of his attacks had any effect, and the grey-robed all-seer would disappear without a trace. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't find out how the grey-robed all-seer disappeared. Until the sixth time. To be exact, the sixth time wasn't Wang Lin who found the grey-robed all-seer, but the grey-robed all-seer found Wang Lin. On this day, Wang Lin had already given up on searching and decided to learn that seven-colored spell. That spell was what he considered the best spell here. He silently stood before the all-seer that demonstrated the seven-colored spell. Just as he let out a sigh and was about to decide, a voice entered his ears like a cold breeze. Are you the all-seer's disciple? Wang Lin was startled as he slowly turned around to look behind him. The grey-robed all-seer appeared like a ghost 10 feet behind him. At the same time, the all-seer that was practicing the seven-colored spell stopped showing off the spell, and raised his head to look at the grey-robed all-seer. The grey-robed all-seer glared at the other all-seer, causing the other all-seer to retreat and disappear off into the distance, as if he dreaded the grey-robed all-seer. Wang Lin nodded and said, "Yes, I am." "Why are you here?" The grey-robed all-seer's voice was still cold. Wang Lin calmly said, "To pick a forbidden spell." Forbidden spell, the grey-robed all-seer revealed a look of disdain, then he looked at Wang Lin and said, "It is very rare for him to let someone in here. I'm afraid it was for me." Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he asked, "Senior is?" The grey-robed all-seer didn't respond to Wang Lin's question, but carefully examined Wang Lin and calmly said, "Display your domain." Wang Lin frowned, but then immediately relaxed and brought out his life and death domain. Shortly after, the domain turned into black and white light above his head, and then suddenly merged to form the life and death scroll. The grey-robed all-seer's eyes lit up, then he nodded and said, "Attack me." Without a word, Wang Lin raised his hand and the life and death scroll suddenly appeared in his grasp, then he suddenly pulled it open. The current him was like the heavens controlling the life and death domain. He looked at the grey-robed all-seer and said, "Life and death, reincarnation." With that, strands of grey gas came out from the black and white mountain and river painting on the life and death scroll. The strands of grey gas were like vicious dragons as they charged toward the grey-robed all-seer. The grey-robed all-seer's eyes revealed a grey glow that pierced through space and landed in Wang Lin's eyes. As for the grey gas that was charging toward the grey-robed all-seer like fierce dragons, it silently collapsed before him. Life and death domain, the grey-robed all-seer looked Wang Lin and said, "The all-seer's reason for letting you come here is probably for you to get my celestial slaughter art. He probably wanted to see if you were fated to learn this spell. The celestial slaughter art isn't a celestial spell, it's imitated from a celestial spell of unknown rank. This celestial tactic is a very good match for your life and death domain. However, for you to learn my celestial slaughter art, you have to promise me one thing." Wang Lin's expression was calm as he said, "Speak." The grey-robed all-seer's eyes were cold as he slowly said, "Once you use the celestial slaughter art, you must not leave your enemies alive. If you can promise me that, I'll teach it you." Wang Lin pondered a bit, then he faintly smiled and shook his head. "I won't learn it." With that, he clasped his hands at the grey-robed all-seer and turned around to leave. The grey-robed all-seer's eyes lit up. He waved his right hand and a strand of grey gas suddenly appeared in his palm. This strand of grey gas was like a sharp sword. With a casual wave, the grey gas shot out toward Wang Lin with a loud shrill. Wang Lin suddenly turned around. His eyes were calm as he stared at grey-robed all-seer. The grey gas passed by Wang Lin and landed on an all-seer that was practicing a spell more than 10,000 feet away. The all-seer didn't even have a chance to dodge, the grey gas hit him directly. Then his body trembled and disappeared into a cloud of smoke. At the same time, a ray of grey light flew back from the cloud of smoke to the grey-robed all-seer, revealing it to be a complex seal. The grey-robed all-seer calmly said, "This seal is formed by the celestial slaughter art. Using the killing road to obtain life force, and having the life force circle you to form life seals. The more of these seals you have, the stronger your defense. I have millions of these seals on me, so even if planet Tianyun explodes, I'll be fine. You don't want to learn this spell?" Wang Lin pondered a bit before asking, "Why must I learn it?" The grey-robed all-seer coldly said, "You are the 6th person the all-seer has sent in. I don't like the number 7, but I also have a promise with the all-seer. However, if you still want to pass, then forget it." Wang Lin looked at the person before him and suddenly said, "What is your relationship with my master?" The grey-robed all-seer coldly looked at Wang Lin. He waved his right hand and a strand of grey gas formed into a jade before disappearing without a trace. Wang Lin revealed a pondering expression. Shortly after, he grabbed the jade formed by the grey gas. At the moment he touched the jade, the 7-colored world around him suddenly changed. It was as if the world was turning upside down, and his vision went blurry. When he regained his vision, he was back on the top of the tower. Before him, the all-seer revealed a mysterious light in his eyes. He stared at the jade in Wang Lin's hand and stroked his beard. "Celestial slaughter art, good." Wang Lin didn't speak, but he slowly frowned. The all-seer looked at Wang Lin and laughed. "Don't think too much about it. That person is your master's second origin soul. I cultivated it back when I was young. However, during the time I was at the yin and yang stage, due to a few matters, I had to split from him. The celestial slaughter art matches the survival that you wished for." Wang Lin pondered a bit before putting the jade away. He didn't believe everything the all-seer said, but Wang Lin was very cunning, so he didn't show any of it on his face as he nodded. The all-seer reached out into the void and a ray of purple light immediately appeared. The purple light turned into a purple ring. After carefully looking at the ring, he threw it at Wang Lin and said, "This light is made of the purple light from the 7-colored light. It will be your life-saving treasure. This treasure can block the full power of a late-stage ascendant cultivator twice. However, you must remember that if you break the sect rules, I'll remove one attack from it. Break the rules twice and this treasure will have no effect. The second disciple of the Purple Division, that was killed by you used his life-saving treasure one time in all these countless years, and then broke the sect rules once. Otherwise, there would be no way for you to so easily obtain his origin soul. However, because it was him who acted first multiple times to attack you, I won't pursue this matter. But Wang Lin, remember that there won't be a second time." Wang Lin accepted the ring. Instead of putting it on his finger, he put it inside his bag of holding and said, "Thank you, master." The all-seer nodded, then he waved his sleeves and said, "I have taught you a forbidden spell and given you a life-saving treasure. You can go back." With that, he turned around and walked toward the tower. Wang Lin took a few steps back, before suddenly raising his head and saying, "Master, disciple wants to leave the sect to train." The all-seer didn't turn around, but his voice came. "A disciple of my heavenly fate sect can only leave the sect to train if they leave as a messenger. Take my token to the Star Service Court, and pick a cultivation country below rank 6 to be a messenger to. However, don't be late to the Eastern Demon Sea in 3 months." With that, the all-seer's figure walked into the tower and disappeared without a trace. A white token flew out of the tower and landed in Wang Lin's hand. At the same time, a gentle force began to spread out from the tower and pushed Wang Lin off the mountain. More than 50 kilometers away, Wang Lin's eyes revealed a mysterious light as he looked at the black and white mountains one more time before quickly leaving. The Star Service Court was above the Red Division. After Wang Lin left the main sect, he didn't waste any time and charged directly toward the Red Division. Red light continued to be emitted from the peak of the Red Division's mountain, covering the area and making it look like a sea of blood. Wang Lin's figure quickly flew toward the Red Division. Just as he was about to enter, he heard a cold voice shout, "Incoming person, stop." Wang Lin didn't speak a word, as he threw the token the All-Seer gave him and charged into the Red Division. When the person who shouted saw the token, he let out a cold snort, but didn't stop Wang Lin from charging in. After Wang Lin entered, the space rippled and a middle-aged man wearing red walked out. He coldly looked at where Wang Lin disappeared to and muttered to himself, "Seventh brother of the Purple Division." Shortly after, Wang Lin left the Red Division and looked toward the west. Rank 5 Cultivation Country, Lin Yu. Planet Qianyun, a Rank 7 cultivation planet under the Cultivation Alliance. It can be said that even amongst the Rank 7 cultivation planets, it is a top-tier existence, and that's because there is a person named All-Seer on planet Qianyun. The All-Seer is considered an extremely respected sage of his generation. He even has a seat in the Cultivation Alliance. He is someone many don't wish to mess with. A Rank 7 cultivation planet would normally have many Rank 6 cultivation planets under their control to bolster their own power, but this is not true for planet Qianyun. There are only 5 cultivation planets around planet Qianyun, and they are all Rank 6 cultivation planets. They are named Heaven, Earth, Human, Life, and Fate. There is a giant transfer array connecting these 5 planets to planet Qianyun. However, the cost of opening it is great, so it is not easily used. Aside from these 5 planets, there are many more smaller planets around planet Qianyun. These are all personal cultivation caves of old monsters. Even though there are transfer arrays connecting them, they are normally sealed and won't easily be opened. At the extreme eastern part of the planet Qianyun, there is a giant transfer array. This transfer array is controlled by the Heavenly Fate sect and has someone stationed there year-round. Zhao Zi was one of the guards in charge of this area. He woke up early in the day and has been sitting in the lotus position outside the array ever since. Zhao Zi was the Green Division's 5th-generation disciple. He has cultivated for 700 years and has reached the mid-stage of soul formation. He is more or less satisfied with his life. It has to be said that just being a disciple of the Heavenly Fate sect gives him a very high position on this planet. Anywhere he goes, he will be admired and respected by others. Zhao Zi opened his eyes and let out a long sigh. Only 3 more months and someone will come to replace me. Once I return to the sect, I must go into closed-door cultivation for several years to push toward the late stage of soul formation. Once I reach the late stage of soul formation, I'll apply to leave the sect to train. If I can get myself some celestial jades, then I, Zhao Sai, might really have a chance to reach the soul transformation stage. While thinking about this, Zhao Sai's eyes revealed a look of longing. Unfortunately, my luck is not good. If I were as lucky as the ancestors, who were directly accepted as the founding ancestors' disciples, then none of this would be a problem. Alas, ever since I, Zhao Sai, was a child, I dreamed of reaching the ascendant stage. I would be able to have a planet as my own cultivation cave. Isn't that the most joyous thing in the world? Zhao Sai let out a bitter smile, then he took a deep breath, and was about to continue cultivating. However, just at this moment, a ray of purple light moved across the sky like a meteor, and broke the sound barrier. Soon, the purple light closed in and was only 10,000 feet away. Zhao Zi's expression became serious. He didn't stand up, but coldly looked at the incoming ray of purple light. There were also a few people that used the transfer array every day. Aside from the few very powerful cultivators, even if their cultivation level was higher than his, Zhao Sai still looked down on them because he, Zhao Sai, was a disciple of the Heavenly Fate sect. At this moment, just as the sun began to rise in the sky, the ray of purple light slowed down, allowing Zhao Sai to see the person inside it. This person had a head full of long hair that was simply flowing behind him. He was wearing a purple robe and arrived 10 feet before Zhao Sai with one step. The person then looked at Zhao Sai coldly. Zhao Sai's gaze fell on the token on this person's waist. On the token, there was a 7 clearly carved out. At the moment he saw the token, Zhao Sai's body started trembling. Without any hesitation, he stood up and respectfully said, Green Division's 5th generation disciple Zhao Sai greets Purple Division's 7th ancestor. Zhao Sai's demeanor right now was extremely respectful, but his heart was pounding. Although he wasn't qualified to join the founding ancestor's birthday celebration, he had heard plenty of rumors. Among these rumors, the one that was talked about the most was that the founding ancestor accepted a new disciple, the 7th disciple of the Purple Division, Wang Lin. As soon as this Wang Lin entered the Purple Division, he completely turned it upside down. After brutally killing the Purple Division's second brother, he even joined the fight for the title of True Disciple. This person used his mid-stage soul transformation cultivation to fight the 4th sister of the Purple Division, who was at the late stage of soul transformation and won. But this was not the important part of the rumor. The important part was that the 6th brother of the Purple Division, who was an ascendant cultivator, suddenly returned and a great battle started. Although Wang Lin lost this battle, all of the Heavenly Fate sect disciples' view of him changed greatly. The 3 killing spells became Wang Lin's signature move, and the powerful demonic aura gave Wang Lin a peerless aura. These various rumors passed through many people, before finally reaching Zhao Sai's ears. As far as he knew, this Wang Lin was a demonic cultivator, who not only had a bad temper, but would immediately kill anyone who irritated him. Open the formation to Earth planet. Wang Lin's voice was calm. He stepped past Zhao Sai and directly entered the transfer array. When he was in the air, he had already observed his transfer array. This array took up an almost 5-kilometer wide area, and had countless complex symbols carved into the ground. Waves of powerful aura came out from the array and spread out. From a distance, it looked like there was dense fog here that prevented people from getting a better look. There were countless ravines within this 5-kilometer area. They were like intertwining rivers before they all flowed into the ocean. There was a mysterious power that moved through these ravines filled with energy. The transfer array that covered this 5-kilometer area no longer looked like a transfer array, it was more like a primal beast. The complexity of this array was already far beyond any other transfer array Wang Lin had seen before. Zhao Sai took a deep breath and immediately responded. He went to the side of the transfer array, formed a seal, and sent a ray of green light toward it. At the moment the green light entered the transfer array, the giant transfer array began to rumble. In the end, it was like the heavens were shaking. The mysterious power inside the complex ravines began to gradually spread out and emit a ghostly light. At this moment, if one were looking from above, they would see sections of the ravines gradually lighting up to form a giant symbol. This was a symbol that covered a 5-kilometer wide area, and its complexity was unimaginable. At this moment, Wang Lin was standing at the center of this symbol. In almost the blink of an eye, the giant symbol released a powerful glow. This light covered the area, and at that moment, the heavens and earth were covered in a ghostly light. Zhao Sai was already used to this, so as soon as the array lit up, he closed his eyes. After counting 5 seconds, he opened them. There was no one left inside the array, and everything was the same as before. Only the ghostly light remained. It looked like a cloud of fireflies, as it slowly drifted back into the ravines. Zhao Sai looked at the empty transfer array with envy in his yes. Then he let out a sigh and muttered to himself, I wonder what this Purple Division's 7th ancestor is going to the Earth planet for. Well, this has nothing to do with me, and I should focus on cultivating, so I can reach the late stage of soul formation as soon as possible. Zhao Sai shook his head, and then sat down and continued cultivating. The Earth planet was one of the 5 planets orbiting planet Tianyun. From a distance, it was completely earth yellow, and there were countless halos moving over its surface. The size of this planet was around the same as planet Suzaku. The Xianyuan sect was the only rank 6 cultivation country on this planet. The entire Xianyuan sect was one country, and it had countless cultivators. Their ancestor was named Xianming, his cultivation was already past the ascendant stage. There was very little sea on this planet, so most of it was land. Millions of miles to the west of Xianyuan was where the rank 5 cultivation country of Lingyu lied. On this day, the area around the transfer array next to the Xianyuan sect had been cleaned out. There was no one but disciples of the sect within dozens of meters of the array. Outside the transfer array, the junior sect master of the Xianyuan sect, Xu Yunshan, silently stood there. He had a treasured fan that he would occasionally hit his palm with. 3 days ago, he heard from a good friend in the Heavenly Fate sect that someone from the Purple Division was going to come to become the messenger for Lingyu. Normally, Xu Yunshan wouldn't care about a small matter like this, but when he learned that the person that was coming was the Purple Division's 7th brother, the new disciple that the All-Seer had just accepted, Wang Lin, he suddenly had a change of heart. As someone from the rank 6 cultivation country that was under the control of planet Qianyun, he had a detailed recording of each of the All-Seer's disciples to note their preferences. His main focus was normally the true disciples, and he normally wouldn't care about Wang Lin if not for the fact that the All-Seer seemed to have been paying close attention to him during the birthday celebration. This Wang Lin had appeared out of nowhere, so the Xianyuan sect knew very little about him. Also, from the Xianyuan sect's point of view, Wang Lin had a lot of potential. It was better to make friends now rather than later, and that was why this was happening. Behind Xu Yunshan stood several old people. They all had heads of white hair, and were the most powerful of the Xianyuan sect's elders. Time slowly passed until it was noon. When the sun was at its highest, a rumbling sound suddenly came from the transfer array. The rumbling noise caught Xu Yunshan's attention. He put away the treasured fan, put on a smile, and looked at the transfer array. The rumbling sound became louder and louder. Ghostly light came out from the ground and covered the sky to form an illusionary symbol. At the center of the symbol, space bent and a person slowly walked out. This person was wearing a purple robe, and there was a 7 carved onto the purple token on his waist. The symbol above the array slowly disappeared. Wang Lin walked out of the array and calmly looked around before his gaze landed on Xu Yunshan. Xu Yunshan's eyes narrowed before he let out a laugh and asked, "Are you Wang Lin, the All-Seer's disciple?" Wang Lin's expression was calm as he clasped his hands. "I am. Sir is." Xu Yunshan smiled and said, "I'm the junior sect master of the Xianyuan sect of Earth planet. I'm here to do my duty as a host. Brother Wang, please don't refuse. Then I'll bother Brother Xu." Wang Lin faintly smiled. This Xu Yunshan's cultivation level was the same as his, mid-stage of soul transformation. He left the Heavenly Fate sect because he wanted a quiet place to cultivate. There was too much competition and fighting at the Heavenly Fate sect, so it was not suited for cultivation. He had just arrived on the planet and couldn't simply refuse his host's hospitality. Xu Yunshan laughed and talked the entire way. After telling Wang Lin about the situation on the planet, he arranged a very beautiful and peaceful place for Wang Lin to stay. After setting their meeting time tomorrow, Xu Yunshan left. The environment here was very graceful and quiet. Wang Lin went inside the room, opened the window and looked outside. Delicate flowers covered the area and were all competing with each other to bloom. Wang Lin opened the door and slowly walked through this flower garden. The most important thing right now is to raise my cultivation level. Although I have been away from planet Suzaku for a few years now, Tuosen is still like a sword hanging above my head. He can leave the land of ancient god at any time, and when he does, he will definitely come for me. Wang Lin frowned. The matter with Tuosen was like having a fishbone stuck in his throat. It was like an invisible whip that forced him to continue cultivating, so that he could continue to survive. While looking at the beautiful flowers in the garden, Wang Lin began to ponder. Celestial slaughter art. I was able to study it for a bit on the way here. It is indeed an exquisite art. To use life force seals to protect my body can indeed create a powerful defense. The heaven-defying bead is still missing the metal element for it to be complete. The matter of getting metal element is another thing I need to resolve as soon as possible. Sichunan thinks that the heaven-defying bead will only recognize an owner after the 5 elements are complete. At that moment, will it finally be able to show its real power? However, he doesn't know what kind of power the heaven-defying bead has for the Cultivation Alliance to fight over it. I wonder how things are going on planet Suzaku. Wang Lin raised his head to look into the void. His gaze seemed to travel an unfathomable distance and landed on the faraway planet Suzaku. After staying at the Xianyuan sect for 2 days, Xu Yunshan guided Wang Lin to the rank 5 cultivation country of Lingyu. In these 2 days, Xu Yunshan was a good talker. After making an effort to get to know Wang Lin, they got along well. The country of Lingyu already knew that a core disciple of the Purple Division was being sent as the messenger. The entire country put this as top priority, and had everything prepared to greet the messenger. At the border of Lingyu, Xu Yunshan faintly smiled and said, "Brother Wang, this is the rank 5 cultivation country of Lingyu. This country isn't very big, it only has 4 sects. But this country produces a lot of spirit items, and is very famous on this planet." Wang Lin nodded. The 2 of them moved very fast as they passed the border and quickly entered the country of Lingyu. At the center of Lingyu, there was a heaven-ascending tower. This was where all the messengers lived. There were more than 100 cultivators standing outside the tower, waiting for the arrival of the messenger. Not long after, 2 rays of light came from the horizon, breaking the sound barrier. At this moment, the people at the foot of the tower all raised their heads. When the 2 rays of light closed in, the cultivators at the foot of the tower respectfully said, "The cultivators of Lingyu greet the Heavenly Fate Sect's Lord Messenger, and the Xianyuan Sect's Junior Sect Master." Xu Yuanshan laughed and said, "I'll say goodbye now. If I have time in the future, we can drink and talk again." With that, Xu Yunshan flew off into the distance. After Xu Yunshan left, Wang Lin was the only one left in the sky. He floated in the air and calmly looked at the people below him. Among the more than 100 cultivators here, 10 of them were at the highest cultivation level, the late stage of soul transformation. Everyone else's cultivation levels were a bit low. Among these people, one of them caught Wang Lin's attention. This person had a head of white hair and looked very old. He was the one with the highest cultivation level here. He was basically half a step into the ascendant stage. Wang Lin slowly descended and landed at the base of the tower. He didn't let those cultivators before him speak before calmly saying, "Although I'm the messenger, I won't bother you with anything, keep doing what you were doing before. I'm going to go into closed-door cultivation, so no one is allowed within 5,000 kilometers of here." The surrounding cultivators were all startled, but all of these cultivators had lived for a long time and were all as sly as foxes. After the initial startle, they all quickly responded and scattered. The old man, who was half a step into the ascendant stage, carefully looked at Wang Lin before leaving. The cultivators beside the old man quickly followed him. In an instant, the base of the tower was devoid of anyone beside Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was normal as he waved his sleeves and walked into the tower. Once he was inside, he sat down in the lotus position and slapped his bag of holding to take out the restriction flag. With one shake of the flag, countless strands of black gas charged out of the tower and covered the surrounding 5,000 kilometers. The surrounding 5,000 kilometer area was suddenly covered in a black fog and gave off a gloomy aura. After finishing all of this, Wang Lin pondered a bit before hitting his forehead with his palm and spitting out a 30-foot-long flag. Although the 1 billion soul flag had lost most of its soul fragments, there were still several primary souls left. Wang Lin shook the flag, causing the primary souls to be released into the black fog to increase protection. He released every primary soul except for the Chilean soul fragment, because that wouldn't be convenient to release. After doing all of this, Wang Lin took a deep breath, then he waved his hand and a jade appeared. This jade was completely grey. It was the one that the grey-robed All-Seer gave him, the Celestial Slaughter Art. Celestial Slaughter Art. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, then his divine sense entered the jade. Time slowly passed. In the blink of an eye, 1 month went by. In this past month, none of the sects of Lingyu could figure out this new messenger. Normally, when a messenger came, they would demand spirit stones and celestial jades. In order to avoid trouble, they would always give them some. This had basically become a tradition. But now this person, who came from planet Tianyun, and was even the disciple of the All-Seer, didn't leave the tower for an entire month. The surrounding area was also covered in a black fog, causing normal people to not dare to take one step into the area. There were some soul transformation cultivators who wanted to enter to see what was going on, but after going 1,000 feet deep into the fog, they all quickly retreated with ugly expressions. The new messenger gradually became more mysterious in the eyes of the cultivators of Lingyu. At this moment, inside the tower, Wang Lin was still sitting in the lotus position. He looked exactly the same as he did 1 month ago. He spent this entire month of studying the contents of the jade. The celestial slaughter art was, in fact, a life force seal, meaning it was not something that could easily be comprehended. Wang Lin's talent was already not very good, and the celestial slaughter art was very complex. He could only slowly think about it and carefully experiment to gradually master it. Wang Lin knew that he couldn't rush this. Time continued to pass and another half a month went by. Not only did the cultivators of Lingyu not lose interest in this messenger, they became even more interested. This was because there was a change in the black fog surrounding the tower. In the first month, it was quiet, but in the last half month, there were loud whistling sounds. It was as if there were many flying swords flying back and forth through the area. There were also thunderous roars that could shake the heavens coming out from the black fog. This made all of the cultivators of Lingyu even more curious. Finally, the old man, who was half a step into the ascendant stage, stood up and took a trip to the tower. 3 days later, the old man came back. His expression was very ugly and his eyes were filled with shock. After he came back, all of the sects sent out a message saying that no disciple is allowed within 5,000 kilometers of the tower, or else they would be punished as a traitor. As a result, the area 5,000 kilometers around the tower became a forbidden zone in Lingyu. Wang Lin spent the entire month and a half studying the celestial slaughter art. This art depended on slaughter, so the more one killed, more seals would stack on top of each other. Once the seals stack to a certain point, it will become the strongest defense in the world. However, this art was very difficult to cultivate. After 1.5 months of time, Wang Lin still couldn't find the essence to it and finally decided to give up on it for now. Instead, he decided to comprehend the heavens so that he could continue to refine his current spells. During that time, he encountered a backlash from the war chariot. This was the first backlash, after he released the first seal. Wang Lin was already prepared for this, and after battling with the beast for several days, he used a secret spell to suppress it. The spirit beast's backlash failed. The old man from Lingyu entered the area during that time and personally saw the unyielding spirit beast. After suppressing the war chariot, Wang Lin silently cultivated for several days. On this day, he suddenly opened his eyes, and his eyes showed signs of enlightenment. The celestial slaughter art should be comprehended amidst slaughter. Trying to comprehend it by just sitting here is a bit lacking. If I really want to cultivate this art, then everything must start with slaughter. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, then he stood up, took one step, and stepped directly out of the tower. Part 1 end here.